It's time to get your geek on with Dave Gramillion.
Ah, yes. Alrighty then. Welcome here, San Antonio. Welcome here, Texas. Welcome here, the Southwest United States. Welcome here, the entire United States, and all points beyond. I am Dave Gramillion. Welcome to Get Your Geek On. This is the premier talk radio show for Star Wars, Star Trek, DC, Marvel, video gaming, really all things geek that have dominated this little world of ours. You see, geek is not what it was 20 or 30 years ago. Geek is in. Geek is very in. Geek is now the mainstream, and we are here to talk the latest and greatest that is geek right here on 9:30 a.m. The Answer Talk Radio and 9:30 a.m. TheAnswer.com. Tonight is Season 2, Episode number 37, and we are going to have a very special guest here on with us shortly. That'll be Mr. Jerry Milani, PR God, essentially, for Wizard World, talking about a little deal they made with Sony recently that really shook things up, also talking about the future of Wizard World. We're going to put, definitely some feet to the fire here, talking about Austin, talking about San Antonio, maybe a little Comic-Con action for us, we can hope. We'll talk to him about that here in just a little bit. I've got some big-time news I want to talk about. That'll come up really quick here, I promise. And some Black Panther news. Oh, my God. Was that movie a juggernaut or what? Mark Hamill will get a star on the Walk of Fame. We'll talk about that coming up here in a little bit. And, of course, March Madness. We've got to talk March Madness. We don't have a choice. So it's mandatory. It is a moral imperative, as Val Kilmer would say. We've got to talk March Madness. So let me go ahead and introduce my crew here. On my left, your right, as you look across the radio dial, you will see the founder, the Grand Admiral of the Star Wars Society of San Antonio. He is our minion, Peter Gonzalez.
I got new sounds.
Hey, there you go.
Cool.
You got a good sound.
I think those are some of my students.
That could be.
Sounds like a lot of them.
And if you look further to my left, your right, across the radio dial, you will see the man spinning the ones and zeros. He is our sound prognosticator. He is Goose.
Make it so.
Goose, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm sick of this weather, man.
Oh, gosh. Tell me about it.
I am so tired of this weather.
This is insane.
It's awful. It is just terrible.
But this has been a week chock full of news. We can't fit it into one show, so we're not even going to try.
Yeah, we can't. This is, without a doubt, the fastest hour on radio, and there is no way we can cram it all in. But there is some good news, and that is I am headed to Seattle next week for the Emerald City Comic-Con. That's going to be a lot of fun. Christopher Lloyd is going to be there. Ooh. Summer Glau, a native, is going to be there as well. And I'm just going to live it up and have a great time in the Pacific Northwest. Right now, it's in the 40s in San Antonio and misty, rainy.
In Seattle, it's in misty, rainy, and in the 40s too, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. So I'm going to leave. And it's going to get to the 70s back in San Antonio when I leave.
Yeah.
So right when y'all get good weather, I go to Seattle and go to that.
Well, that's because it knew you were leaving.
No, I get to take it with me. That's just awesome.
I've seen Frasier. I know how Seattle is.
Don't worry, guys. I am not going to Forks, Washington, which is 3 hours away, the home of Twilight.
Yeah, No,
I'm not doing that.
But you could sparkle.
No, not a chance. So the Emerald City Comic-Con, I will see y'all in Seattle next week. But here's some even better news. Back at the tail end of 2017, we were nominated for 2 different awards by San Antonio Magazine. One, I was up for Best Radio Personality of the City, which thank y'all very much. It was our first eligible year. I mean, that was the first time we were up for these awards. And the second one was for our archive. Every show that we do on air gets archived to our podcast, which you can find on iTunes, SoundCloud, or Stitcher. And that did win Best Podcast for the city of San Antonio. How about that?
Yes.
How about that? We have the best podcast to listen to in the 7th largest city in the United States.
Oh, God, it's just an honor.
I love it. That is tremendous. What is also tremendous is our guest. Coming on now, calling in from parts unknown. Well, I know where he'll be next week because there's a show in Cleveland he's going to. But we're going to call him the PR god for all of Wizard World. The man, the myth, the legend. We met him in Austin last November. Great guy. I mean, just a terrific guy all around. great dancer too, according to the notes that he gave me. That would be Jerry Milani. How you doing, sir?
So well. Yourself? How are you guys today?
Jerry, we are absolutely fantastic. Thank you for calling in and taking the time to speak to us here.
I'm trying to figure out who you were introducing, though. That doesn't sound like me.
Oh, come on. You can't be shy. You told us where the water fountains were when we were in Austin, so right there. That's a gold star in our book.
Well, I always know where those are. That's important. The restrooms and the water fountains.
Absolutely. He's got it down. Perfect. Now, Wizard World made quite the splash with a recent announcement between y'all and Sony. What does this mean? What is this announcement, and what does it mean going forward?
Well, we're trying to figure that out ourselves. I mean, what's great is that it's really open-ended. So last week, Wizard World and Sony came to a partnership agreement, really seeking out IP. And that doesn't just mean going to our Artist Alley and finding the next great superhero. It really means a lot of things. It could mean finding someone in our entertainment area. It could mean finding something in our programming that's new and different. And what that can mean is it might be something as big as a movie. It might be something for a TV property. It's really, Sony has its fingers in the entire world of multimedia. And Wizard World has a piece of that world that we're expert in. And for Sony, it's a chance to get to live audiences 16 to 20 times a year at our shows and to meet people and to find out new things that are out there that maybe they're not seeing. And for us, it's a chance to be part of an agreement with a company that it's a multi-billion-dollar company that has tentacles in all different areas, and we're to be part of that and to be an arm of that in some way is just huge for someone like Wizard World.
Well, if y'all are looking for something different that might spawn into a movie, Brad Pitt should play me, for sure, in our story here. I think that's a given.
I'm taking notes as we speak.
Awesome. That's outstanding. All right, so really, I mean, this is wonderful news for anybody that has an idea that they want to get off the ground. This is like a springboard almost between Wizard World and Sony to go out there and find new ideas, new talent, new ideas.
Yeah, and we're not sure exactly how it's going to work. We've had meetings with them, and what's great is they've been excited about being part of what we're doing as we are on the other side. We go into the meetings, and they're like, you guys are the experts, and every time we hear that, our ears go, ooh, we're right, we are. But it's nice having someone tell us that, someone who's a multi-billion-dollar company understanding that there's a space that we know what we're doing in. It's going to mean a lot of things. We're really going to get it going in Portland, which is a couple shows away. It gives us time to kind of figure out what they're going to want to get out of it. And then right after Portland, a month later, is one of our two really big flagship shows in Philadelphia, where we really feel like whatever it is that's going to happen is going to start getting going. So will it be managing portfolio reviews? Will it be getting people who we've worked with for a long time in front of people they've never seen before, and getting Sony connected with people who we know, we feel there might be something going there. It's going to be all of that. And the great thing about it being open-ended is there's not going to be any wrong answers. It's going to be, maybe it's a radio show that gets changed. It could be a lot of things. So we're really excited about the opportunities, and who knows what it's going to be. And all we know is that we're in the room with Sony, and they're on our side, and that's a pretty big thing for a company like ours.
That is outstanding. That is really tremendous, and I'm excited because I think it opens the door for a lot of people that may have had the door shut in their faces so many times. There's so many ideas out there that really do need to get off the ground, so I'm excited for it. But one of the things that wasn't terribly exciting, that was not the quarterly report that came out last November for Wizard World. And I hate asking the question, but I feel like I'd be almost remiss if I didn't. How are things looking for Wizard World over the next 12 months? A lot of people are curious.
Folks who've come to our shows recently have noticed, I think, a sea change. And it's not that what we were doing 7, 8, 10 years ago was wrong. It was right for 2008, 2010, 2012, and maybe not for 2017, 2018. It's a more entertainment-based experience. You go into our show, and you see the first thing you walk in, there's a stage. And Cato Kalin is there, and he's introducing people, and he's introducing acts, and there's music, and there's something happening from the time we open the floor at 4 o'clock on Friday till the time the show floor closes on Sunday at 4. So what does that mean? It means that we're starting to find the formula now for what's making our shows more successful. I think the second half of last year and certainly the first 2 shows of this year have been very successful. I think that you get into the financials, and the financials are what they are. So we've found ways in the last 6 months to 8 months to eliminate some expenses without affecting what anyone sees on the show floor. So whether it means things in the background in terms of travel and things that people never see, those are being approached from a different way, more business-like in some ways. And by cutting expenses and then finding ways to make our shows a little more palatable for a wider audience, we're finding the formula over the last few shows that we're hoping the next time one of those reports comes out, it doesn't look like it has for the past couple.
Now, this has also led to some shows being postponed, some being canceled, and this is, of course, for a wide variety of reasons. There's never any one reason that cancels or postpones a show, but have there been any new developments regarding those shows? Have y'all made any progress in maybe opening some up or maybe getting those TBD dates kind of gone away and something established?
Yeah, we're close on a couple of them, so we should have within, I'd say, about a month or so, announcements on most of what's kind of pending for the later part of this year. It's a big puzzle, and as you know, one thing affects another thing, affects another thing. So Austin is actually one of the fulcrums of this big puzzle that we've had. So every year, it seems, Austin is at a different time. So we've had Austin shows in November. We've had Austin shows in September. We've had Austin shows in October. We've pretty much hit the whole. We even did a December one, I think, one year with Austin. We've been doing it for the 9th year when we tee it up again, for this year. It's been. There's so many things going on in Austin and the convention center. They're not waiting around for us, and it's hard for us to wait around for them to kind of figure out what dates. And, if the only other date that works is a date that we've got another show scheduled or another show potentially scheduled, that's one of the big things that's kind of hurting us here in that fourth quarter of this year, is just kind of finding dates. And then, it's hard. You don't want to do shows that are all the way across the country the next week, because there's some risk in that. I mean, these are trucks that need to get across the country, so you're not going to see Portland and then the next week Florida, because it doesn't make logistical sense. So there's all those factors that go in. It's finding weeks that we can get the right level of celebrity that we know that folks aren't shooting. There's so many factors in there, and we know that a couple things are close, and I think once one or two of them fall into place, then we can go ahead and get the other one set.
Now, there's something, maybe it's new to me, maybe I just haven't heard about it and we can help spread the word about it, but there's something called the Speed Pass reservation system. Is this new, or have I just been missing out on it?
No, it's something in development. Right now what that means is if you're a VIP, a ticket holder for one of our shows for a specific celebrity, then you have the VIP access to our shows. So you'll be able to get into the show a half hour early. We have a VIP lounge that's available. And then if you're a David Tennant VIP, you'll be able to go to the VIP line for David Tennant. If you're a VIP for another celebrity, let's say you're a John Barrowman VIP, but you also separately bought a David Tennant photo op or autograph, you can go to the second. So there's a VIP line for that puts you ahead of all the general admission, but behind the David Tennant specific VIPs. So having a VIP to any of our celebrities or a Wizard World VIP is giving you that advantage for any other VIPs or any other photo ops or autographs that you've purchased. So we're still tweaking to see whether there's an intermediate step in there, whether being a VIP, because right now VIP gets you all of that. Gets you, if you're a Wizard VIP, any of the celebrity photos or autographs that you buy gets you right to that, secondary VIP area. That might be part of an incentive program, or it might be part of another way we can kind of make the experience for fans better, and maybe There'll be ABC, maybe there'll be texting. There's all kinds of ways, and we're experimenting at some of our shows now, some of the smaller shows, that by the time we get to the really big shows, we can have a program in there. The last thing we want is for someone to wait online 3 hours, 2 hours for one celebrity. You really don't ever have to do that, but some people do that, and to really get the confidence in them that they're going to be able to get that autograph or get that photo op, we want them to experience everything in the show, not just waiting online for one particular photo op or celebrity.
I think if that's one of the biggest complaints I've ever heard come out of a con, it's oh my God, I can't believe I had to wait 3, 4, 5 hours for this photo op or this autograph. I mean, so this sounds like a real progressive step forward for Comic-Con. It's really innovative.
Yeah, you never really have to. I think you go to an event and your main focus, I mean, let's say this show here coming up in Cleveland, Ezra Miller and Ray Fisher have never been to a show before. So that Ezra Miller and Ray Fisher dual photo op on Saturday is going to be a huge thing because it's a certain time that they're going to be doing the photos together, but people feel like it's at whatever time, 2 o'clock, I've got to get there at 11 o'clock and wait online. And no matter how many times you tell someone, no, you have the ticket, you're going to get it, don't stand it, come back a half hour before, they still feel like they have to. They just don't feel like they want to miss it, and maybe there's other events. Look, Wizard World's been doing shows for 20 years, and we revamp our systems all the way, but we've really got the photo op and the autograph lines. We're starting to get that down after all this time, and you're right. That's a thing that people have still said. We want a quicker way to do that, so we're going to always try to find a quicker way to get people to those things they want to do so they can get to all these other things. And our favorite thing at Wizard World is someone coming up to us and saying, I didn't know that James Marsters was here, and I went to his panel, and oh my God, it was the best thing I ever did. And someone might meet someone for the first time at one of these shows, and we want them to be able to experience that and not be on a line somewhere or looking around for trying to figure out how they're going to get that autograph.
We're speaking with Jerry Milani here on Get Your Geek On 9:30 a.m. The Answer Talk Radio. Jerry, speaking of 2018, it's a new year. It's new. It's exciting. You all have the Cleveland show right around the corner. Is there something new and exciting for Wizard World this year? A new show maybe coming to a new city that y'all are really excited for?
Well, the first thing is we're trying to mix in as many celebrities that haven't been to our shows before as we can, and sometimes they're going to be big hits, and sometimes they might not be. It might not be quite the right thing for them, but even just in Cleveland with Ezra Miller and Ray Fisher and David Mazouz and Sean Pertwee, those are folks that Naoko Mori from Torchwood, those are folks who we really haven't had at shows. So those are some of the names that people have been kind of thrown at us as, this is someone we really want to meet, and can you get them here? And we're working with different promoters sometimes, and we're working with different groups that handle celebrities and artists. We have a new Artist Alley team in place. What we really want is our shows to, when you come to Cleveland or you come to Portland and you were there last year, that there are lots of elements of it that are different. We want lots of elements to be the same. We want you to feel like you're going to come in, you're going to be entertained for whatever number of hours are there. You're going to meet artists and creators that you've really wanted to for your favorite books, or hopefully spring on some new things you've never seen before. But we also want that new factor. In terms of new cities, we do have Boise that we have scheduled. We did a visit last year, and it was similar to some of the shows that we started a couple of 3 years ago in Des Moines and places like that that have just kind of overwhelmed us with how excited they are that we're coming. So when a city, Madison was the same way. When a city's really excited that we're coming, we're excited to be there. So that's going to be a show in July that we've never done before. And last year we had announced a few shows that we were hoping to get underway right away and just couldn't get traction. We had even announced dates. It was Montgomery and Springfield and Biloxi and a couple others, and we're close to figuring out what those 2018 dates are going to be, and then we'll have a more full schedule. But when you do a deal with Sony and they want to go to events and meet people, we want to do more events rather than fewer. Mm-hmm. But we also only want to do an event if it's going to be successful and has a chance to really capture a city the way we have in a lot of the new places we've been that we've started in the last 3 or 4 years.
Now, Jerry, I can't let you go without asking about a return trip to the Alamo City now. If we can get one of those new cities to be, San Antonio, I mean, that'd be fantastic. Any push, any development, any prayer of that in the near future?
In 2015, I think it was, we went from 8 to 16 to 24 in a 3-year span. And San Antonio was part of that expansion. So that 24-city year, we found that it was a little too many for what we were doing at that point. And at that point, also, we'd had Austin, which we have as a consistent show since 2010, which had been a good show for us in some points, a great show at some points, and a rougher show at some points when we were a couple of years we couldn't do Sunday. And Sunday's an important day for us on a weekend. So we did a 2-day show one year. We're trying to figure out. But with San Antonio being so close, and the people who came to that show that we did in San Antonio had a great time. We had a good lineup. The fans enjoyed it. It didn't work for us. And right now, the way we're trying to really be smart about where we expand to, making sure that there's a chance, and maybe we didn't market enough. It could be a lot of reasons why it didn't work out. I won't rule out a city as great as San Antonio, because especially now with wanting to do more things and wanting to expose Sony to more places, I know I loved the show there, and I know that the fans who went had a great time.
All right. Well, we've been speaking with Jerry Milani here on 9:30 a.m. The Answer and Get Your Geek On. Jerry, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy day here and prepping for the Cleveland show to come talk to us. We do look forward to hearing from you in the future. And when those Austin dates are announced, man, I know we're going to be all over it. We can't wait to go back.
I appreciate you having me, and you guys have a great show.
All right. Thanks, Jerry. Have a good one. Alrighty, so that was Jerry Milani. I'm just going to dub him the PR god for Wizard World, talking to us about their future. They got the next couple of shows for them are Cleveland, March 2nd through the 4th, and Portland, April 13th to the 15th. And that's where they're going to try that Speed Pass. No, I'm sorry, not the Speed Pass, but that's where they're going to start their partnership with Sony. So that's going to be a lot of fun. You know who's up in Portland is our one of our partners, Kaylee Cheyenne, over at the Daily Geek. So, man, that should be a very interesting show, to say the least. Let's go ahead. We only have a few.
So if Sony's looking for new and engaging content, I've got 1, 2, 3 things that can work out for that.
Absolutely. I mean, why not the premier talk radio show for geeks and the best podcast of 2017 for San Antonio?
And, of course, any spinoffs they choose to
well, that's
license as well.
Yeah, that's true. We can have the Goose Show and the Minion Show and all that. So, let me get back to this podcast award here real quick. We only have a couple of minutes before the break. This award, I think, really says a lot about the state of geekiness in general. Because typically podcasts are like business podcasts, or maybe there are some geeky podcasts out there, but I don't recall a major publication in a large city. I mean, we're 2 million in the metro. We are the 7th largest city. We're coming for you, Phoenix. I promise. I don't recall a major publication like that naming a geeky talk radio show as the best podcast. Now, a lot of people may think, "Oh my God, so y'all are really just a podcast?" No. Our shows are archived to a podcast, and that was named the best to listen to.
Plus, they didn't have best radio show.
Yeah, that was a little odd.
So, I mean, we go for what we can get.
Absolutely, and we did get this one, so I was very happy about that.
The way I look at it is it's a win for the geeky community. Because
It
for
is.
a long time, we all had stories. Yeah, we got shoved in lockers. We were made fun of because we read we would read comic books and read books, stuff like that. But, hey, this is our way of saying, we have arrived. We are here.
And you can find our podcast, our now award-winning podcast, over on iTunes, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. You just search for Get Your Geek On with Dave Gramillion, and it'll pop up, and you can subscribe right there. It's humbling in a way, because, I mean, you work really, really hard, and believe me, this is like literally a second job. I put 30 to 40 to 50 hours into the show per week. It doesn't always show, believe me, but, we do that. And I ask a lot of Minion, and I ask a lot of Goose, and the way that this came about was that we were actually named by the listeners.
We were nominated and then voted on by the listeners.
By the listeners.
So thank you all.
Absolutely. So that means that y'all believe in what we're doing here. Mm-hmm. Y'all believed enough to find the link and click the button and say vote and say absolutely no problem. And boom, there we are in San Antonio Magazine, named as the best podcast.
It's an honor.
Yeah, it's an honor. It's humbling. It's really...
it made my day,
Absolutely.
It made my week, my month.
Our year.
A year.
Our decade.
Until next year.
Our half century.
There we go.
Our full century. Oh goodness! So it also drives me. I want better guests. I want more guests. I want to go more places like Seattle. Like last year we went to Atlanta and to Denver, and now we're going to be going to our bottom of the hour news break. We'll be right back here on 9:30 a.m. The Answer Talk Radio and 930amtheanswer.com. Alrighty, welcome back from the bottom of the hour news break. This is Get Your Geek On, and I am Dave Gramillion. We are here on 9:30 a.m. The Answer Talk Radio, and if you missed the first half of the show, you missed an outstanding interview with the PR god of Wizard World, Jerry Milani. We're very grateful that he was able to take time out of his day to speak to us about the future of Wizard World, new shows they have coming, new developments that they're working on. That Speed Pass reservation system sounds really interesting, like a great time saver, and different shows, and the possibility of them returning to San Antonio at some point in the future. So that's all going to be covered there, and if you missed it, it's no problem. You can find us on iTunes, you can find us on Stitcher, you can find us on SoundCloud, any one of those podcast platforms. Hey, there, say that 3 times fast. And you can listen to the award-winning Best Podcast in San Antonio for 2017. We made that announcement just recently. We're awesome. What can I say?
We are the champions, my friends.
Best Podcast in the city of San Antonio in our first eligible year. We weren't eligible in 2016 because we were only on for half the year, so that didn't work. But 2017, we owned it. We rocked it. So best radio personality, we're gunning for that next. We're going to nail it.
Thanks to y'all.
Yep, big time kudos and thanks to y'all for helping us to win that award. Alrighty, so with that being said, let's move on. Let's kick the news off here. Let's talk some Marvel news.
This is that sequel to the smash hit with no equal. This one's for the true fans with Hulk hands and action figures. Flying.
Alrighty, have you seen Black Panther? If you haven't, you may be the only person. You might be the only person who hasn't seen it. I know there's at least one out there. There has to be at least one. And it may be you. Who knows?
I'm hoping there's at least 2.
Yeah, we're hoping so. We're hoping for that one. So last week we called our shot about box office predictions. I called 165 million opening weekend. Minion called 170, 75, and Goose was 162 and a half. And boy, were we way wrong. Never in my wildest dreams did I see this coming. I was thinking the highest it might go would be like 185.
Yeah.
Maybe 180, somewhere around there. But no, instead Black Panther decided to shatter records. And not break them, but shatter them. Like Spurs fans' expectations and dreams.
Oh. Well, yeah, you're right. I work for the AT&T Center.
Yeah, pretty much. Black Panther has shattered the following records. It is now the highest-rated superhero movie of all time. Not Marvel movie, superhero. That includes DC, which, okay, that was easy.
Hey.
And The Incredibles. It's a superhero movie. It's a Pixar movie. And at 97%, Black Panther is now the highest-rated superhero movie of all time for Rotten Tomatoes. It has the most pre-sold tickets of any superhero movie at Fandango. And if that wasn't enough, Black Panther is also leading in ticket pre-sales on Fandango for all films in the first quarter. That's January through March. That includes The Hunger Games, and that includes Beauty and the Beast, which until Star Wars showed up was the #1 movie at the box office last year. Black Panther also has a record for IMAX pre-sold tickets, and it raked in a hefty sum of $25.2 million on February 15th, not only doubling Deadpool's previous February record of 12.7, but also becoming one of the highest grossing previews ever for a superhero film. That means that Black Panther passed Captain America Civil War to score the second highest preview gross for a Marvel movie behind Age of Ultron. The preview night is the night, that's like Thursday night.
Thursday night.
Yeah.
You know, they don't start, at Thursday at noon. They start like Thursday at 10,
7.
Thursday at 9.
Typically 7.
Somewhere around there. So on opening day, which was the 17th, Black Panther grossed an estimated $75.81 million, almost again, I mean, that's like 60% more than Deadpool, $47.3 million, to set a new February opening day record. But that's not what is most impressive about that number.
What's most impressive?
Most impressive is that Black Panther also topped Captain America Civil War and The Dark Knight Rises to secure the 8th spot on the chart of highest grossing opening days of all time.
No way.
Higher than Civil War or The Dark Knight Rises. And it was only a few million short of The Avengers.
Ooh.
Think about that
Can we
for a
just
minute.
talk about The Dark Knight Rises for a minute?
Do we have to?
No.
Okay, good. Well, we may have a Christopher Nolan What Happened show at some point. Black Panther, that number puts it on top of all non-team-up superhero films. That's $75.8 million. The closest is Iron Man 3 at $68.8. All right, so I know that's a lot of numbers to throw at you, but this is the one you're going to love the most. I called 165. Minion called 170-ish. Goose called 162.5. It ended up being 192. $192 million at the box office.
So that meant the person with the highest without going over was...
That would be Minion.
Hey, what do I get? No, I don't want my students following me in here.
That's you.
Okay.
That's what you win.
Okay.
We got to set up bets in the future, though. In the future, we're going to set up bets on our predictions. The previous record for February was Deadpool at $132 million.
No more chimichangas.
60 more. God, that's not even fair. Black Panther also topped Avengers Age of Ultron for its opening weekend.
Yikes.
I mean,
that's amazing.
So now you understand what I mean by saying that if you haven't seen this movie, you may be the only one.
I mean, the hype for this thing was incredible.
You may be a T.I. double gut or...
A Tigger?
Yeah, because he's the only one.
Hey.
Aha, okay. All right, there we go.
But I'm
It
bummed.
all ties back to Disney.
It always does. Ain't that the truth? Boy, Disney is just rolling in it by now. Holy cow. So Black Panther, now, when we saw it, y'all have seen it by now.
Yeah, I saw it
hope.
Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so just to be nice, we're still going to keep it spoiler-free, but overall, your impression of the movie. Minion.
I was really, really impressed. I just went in. Of course, anytime I go into a lot of movies, I just go in, no expectations. It was great. Oh, and now in terms of spoiler, are we allowed to talk spoiler now?
No.
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 Okay. All right. Okay. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I had a great time with it. It was fun. It was exciting. And overall, I was really, really impressed. And I loved the look of Wakanda.
Goose, what'd you think of it?
I liked it. It was good, and it was a good sequel to Civil War.
Okay.
So, I mean, let's be honest, it was a sequel because we met T'Challa and learned about the Black Panther and Civil War.
True.
We got to see Wakanda, which was great. And we got to get more into the mythology of Wakanda and the Black Panther and the technology that Wakanda has and the vibranium, which is great. And I enjoyed the movie quite a bit. It redeemed Michael B. Jordan like...
Oh, man.
He never did.
Oh, man, did it ever.
I don't think it was the greatest Marvel movie of all time.
No, it was not.
And nor, guys, was it the first time that we had an African-American superhero movie.
No,
That's Blade.
True. Yeah, there you go.
So it was a great movie, and I think it's the first one since the MCU started.
Yeah.
And it was a great addition to the MCU tapestry.
Now, here's my question. How do you mine vibranium?
Very careful. With adamantium.
Maybe.
With lasers.
Lasers. So they have sharks with freaking laser beams on their head, and they're mining the vibranium that way.
Right.
I agree. I said this in my initial review. It was not the greatest Marvel movie of all time. It was a very good movie.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, OMG, I can't believe it just completely blew me away. The middle dragged like nobody's business. And it was, at times, a live-action version of The Lion King. It absolutely was. I'm sorry. When I saw Forrest Whitaker put the necklace around T'Challa's neck. I'm like, thank you, Rafiki. You're going to hold him up now? You going to hold him up over the waterfall? Come on. You were thinking it, too. Stop it.
No, we weren't.
You were thinking it.
You're the only one.
And so here we have...
The views of David Gramillion do not necessarily represent those of Get Your Geek On or 9:30 a.m. The Answer or Salem Media Group.
So, and now here we have a distant relation who comes over, takes over the throne, and our hero is banished, injured, attacked, whatever, and now has to come back and reclaim the throne. Blah 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 blah. The comparison to the Lion King is there whether you like it or not.
So we're not going to have. Were you expecting? Okay, I won't say anything. Just the opening scene from Lion King.
Well, I'm telling you, as soon as he put the necklace around his neck, I was like, now hold him up. Come on, Forrest, you can do it. Just a couple seconds is all we need. Just hold him up.
The views of David Gramillion.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to throw something at you.
The co-host, nor 9:30 a.m. The Answer, nor Salem.
And I'm wearing a Black Panther shirt with all the other Marvel characters on that, so I'll never look at it the same way again.
It's the circle of life.
I have to do these disclaimers. It's part of the job.
Yeah, whatever. Okay,
well, you're the employee here, so yeah.
Yes, I have to.
Alrighty, so with that being said, let's go ahead and we'll move away from Black Panther, and we've got some Star Wars news to talk about here, shall we?
Star Wars news.
I'm looking forward to completing your training. In time, you will call me Master.
Alrighty then, this is brought to you by our friends over at Laser Legend. Laser Legend is on the north side of San Antonio off of 1604 and Lookout Road. It's not quite Rolling Oaks Mall, it's not quite I-35, it's right there in between, behind the Little Caesars over there by the at-home store is what it's called. I love going there. I mean, every time I walk in, I have such a great time, such a great experience while I'm in there. They have a 4,000 square foot video arcade with some of the latest games that are in there. They have Star Wars Battle Pod, which is, it's certainly not the latest, but they do have a Walking Dead game, Jurassic Park game. They have Star Trek Pinball. They have a wide variety of games for you to play.
So, just for those who might be wondering, yes, I know lately Star Wars news has been dominated by one thing that is coming up. We are not talking about that right now.
No, we don't want to do that.
Nah, it's okay.
Not really.
In fact, one might say it's the Solo thing we're not talking about.
You could make that argument. You can make that argument. Okay. Now, Mark Hamill is going to get his star on the Walk of Fame, and I say it's about time. Now, part of the thing, when you get a star on the Walk of Fame, keep in mind you have to pay for it. It costs, last time I checked, it was like 30 or 40 grand to have your star on the Walk of Fame. So it's entirely possible that Mark Hamill had this offered to him before, and he's like, yeah, no, I'm good.
I'm in voice acting. That doesn't pay.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, come on. So he finally got his star on the Walk of Fame. And let's talk a little bit about Mark Hamill.
This is his year.
Because everybody knows him as, obviously, as Luke Skywalker. Okay, we got that. He's best known for Star Wars. And the fact the very first time that we heard him in one of the true iconic lines that he said, it was,
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you.
I mean, there you go. And that was, of course, Carrie Fisher, the late now Carrie Fisher, saying, aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper? And he just answers back, boom, I am Luke Skywalker. And that's who he is. And that was back in 1977. But he actually got his start in 1970 on an episode of The Bill Cosby Show. And don't confuse that with The Cosby Show that we all love from the 80s.
Or Cosby, which was in the 90s.
No, this was The Bill Cosby Show. 1970 is when 48 years ago is when Mark Hamill got his start in acting.
And then he also appeared in The Partridge Family in one episode.
He was in The Partridge Family for an episode, General Hospital for several episodes, right. I believe, in there as well. And after Star Wars, of course, there was Corvette Summer.
Big Red One.
The Guyver.
Big Red One, The Guyver. Yeah. And a lot of people may not know this, at least not until there was the revival of The Trickster back not too long ago. I think it was last year. Yeah, when he did the voice work.
No, he was in the show.
But he was, that's right. It was the live action. But he was the original live action version of The Trickster back in 1990.
Are we going to kill him?
Oh, I have a much more interesting idea. Right, old buddy?
That's right.
That was from the 1990 series The Flash, starring John Wesley Shipp, who is now Henry Allen in the Flash other series.
And did you catch the laugh there at the end? Did that sound like the
That was the Joker. But the funny thing is, and Goose didn't know this because we were talking about this when I came in studio, he did Amadeus back in the day.
What do you mean he did Amadeus?
He was Amadeus. He was part of the touring company way back in 1980.
He played
okay.
Amadeus.
He played Amadeus.
I was like, no, I've seen that movie a billion times. He wasn't in it.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, that's probably where he got the idea for the Joker laugh.
It might have been.
Yeah.
And, speaking, of course, of the Joker, he does do some outstanding voice work. I mean, really dynamic voice actor. Of course, now he gets whatever part he wants. But
Right.
how many of y'all knew? We'll get to the Joker here in a second, but he was in Avatar: The Last Airbender. I was stunned. I didn't know that. He was the villain. He was Fire Lord Ozai.
Your mother did vicious, treasonous things that night. She knew the consequences and accepted them. For her treason, she was banished. So she's alive, perhaps. Now I realize that banishment is far too merciful a penalty for treason. Your penalty will be far steeper.
Man, I get chills hearing that. What a voice. My God. And if you've ever seen The Last Airbender, you know that is a creepy scene. That is woo. And if you haven't seen The Last Airbender series, go see The Last Airbender series. Stay away from the movie.
I was very lucky to meet him in San Diego. I met
Fire Lord Ozai?
No, Mark Hamill.
Oh, Mark Hamill. Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
So yes and yes.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, he had a very short line. I just happened to turn the corner and said, "Line from Mark Hamill ends here." Short line, jumped in it, contacted my friend Debbie, who was on one of the shuttle runs because she's been in love with him since 1977. Very nice guy. I just wanted to shake his hand.
I met him at Celebration Orlando in 2012. And, I mean, what I didn't know then was what he knew. He'd already known about the Disney buyout at the Celebration. That's where George Lucas told him and Carrie Fisher about the Disney buyout. That was in August. They knew 2 months before anybody else knew about the Disney buyout. And I got to meet him. He signed Old Blue, my lightsaber there.
And don't forget, when Wing Commander did that live action cutscene game, he was in there as well.
It was an
Wing Commander
interactive-
3.
Yeah, Wing Commander 3 was an interactive CD-ROM. It was the coolest thing ever back then, of course.
then.
And, of course, we know him as the Joker. And now I thought long and hard about which Joker clip to play because there are so many. I mean, remember the eulogy that he famously did? He actually did that at a Celebration as well, where Batman had died. And the Joker puts the cape and cowl into a coffin, and he puts a "kick me" sign on the cape, on the empty cape. Harley Quinn is just bawling in tears as Joker gives the eulogy. But I decided to go with something a little more iconic, so I went with this. Seriously, how creepy is that laugh?
He is the Joker.
He really is. I mean, you could almost put him up there with Jack and Heath.
The funny thing, when they said whenever they would record in the studio, everybody would always be sitting in their booth. Mark would be the only one who would stand.
Yeah, I could see that.
Well, standing gives your voice more resonance. And
But the animator
works
said
better.
you could actually animate Mark as the Joker, as he would just be doing his.
No, I heard a rumor. This was never substantiated, but I heard that they were doing the voice acting for one of the games, either Arkham Asylum or Arkham City, and he and Kevin Conroy were in the room together doing their lines. And Mark stops the recording. Now, keep in mind how expensive this studio is, right? He stops the recording and he says, "Guys, I just don't think the Joker would say this." And Kevin looks at his script and he says, "Yeah, I think Mark's right. I don't even think Batman would say this." And on the spot, they start reworking the script together as Batman and the Joker until they got a script that they were happy with as those characters.
Honestly, if they ever did a live show, just take my money.
Yes, absolutely.
Take my money.
I mean, panels are free at conventions, at Comic-Cons. I would pay money to see those two work out a scene on stage.
No, just take a reading from like The Killing Joke or any of the things they've done in the past. They don't even have to. It doesn't even have to be new.
Like the last scene of The Killing Joke where Joker tells the joke
Oh
about
yeah,
the...
yeah. Just take my money.
Exactly. Oh my God, that'd be tremendous. So
one last thing I just want to say about Mark, and again, this is a much deserved. I like what Annie Potts said about him on his A&E special. He said anybody who can stay married to the same woman since 1978-79, raise 3 kids in Hollywood, and still be with that same family.
Indeed.
absolutely.
Well, anybody who can do that in general.
Right.
Yeah, no kidding.
You know.
So Mark Hamill gets his star on the Walk of Fame. We congratulate him, salute him for that one. Alrighty, let's go ahead. We got a little bit of news left to get to, and that would be our March Madness tournament. All right, so registration has officially closed. We had it open for a week, and then that's it. We're done. We had to kick this shindig off. And here's how the tournament actually works. So if you've entered, which I hope you did, then we've gotten the tournament underway. You've made your bracket picks. They are locked. You cannot change them. So here's what happens now. Polls will be put up on our Facebook page every week, facebook.com/GYGO radio. You can't miss them. I mean, there's a whole wall of...
Currently, there are 32.
Yes. Whoa. Let me tell you how much fun it was to get that together. Holy cow.
Yeah.
So we have those polls up now. That is 20% of the score. Your vote counts as part of the overall score. There are 5 categories that we have to judge them on. Who has the strength edge? Who is the strongest of the strong? Intellect. Who has the brains? Because it's brains, it's brawn. You got it. So that's 20% also. That's 2 categories. Third category is durability and stamina. If you can dish it out, you better be able to take it as well.
And those are put forth by the Get Your Geek On selection committee.
That's right.
The 3 of us.
The fourth one is the popular vote. So we take that into account. Who gets more votes? This character, that character. And that can be one of the things that really trips things up because... You know, like right now, it's number 1 Luke Skywalker versus number 16 Chewbacca. Now, as much as we figure Luke Skywalker should win that fight, if the popular vote goes Chewie's way, that's 20% of the score taken away from Luke. And then the 5th criteria is a random roll of the D20 because this is March Madness. That is the madness part of it. And you can have, you know, Duke lose in the second round of the tournament because their star center breaks an ankle or their point guard commits 5 turnovers in the last 2 minutes. It's possible. We've seen Cinderella stories happen at the tournament before, and the same goes for our tournament. Last year, Link was the 10 seed and was never supposed to get to the Elite 8, but sure enough, he ended up getting there.
And polls are, of course, open to everybody who's liking Get Your Geek On. So facebook.com/GYGO radio. Spend about half an hour and making your vote.
I got my students getting on in this, except, well, you know, they can't really enter since they're minors. But winner gets Taquadana. They get Whataburger.
They get Whataburger.
They get Whataburger.
All right, that's good news. So we have the popular vote. Everything's all set up, and we will start our judging probably. I'll probably start tomorrow.
Starting it now.
Yeah, I'll probably sit down and do it tomorrow. But I'll take a look at the popular vote on Tuesday or so. So everything is set up for a week from Tuesday to Tuesday.
The polls are timed. It's not like open-ended polling. So once the polls are closed, they're closed, and that's the official.
That's it. That's the timestamp. It's from Tuesday to Tuesday. We start the polls on Tuesday. We end them the following Tuesday, and that's it. Then we'll do our judging. We'll come back on the show, and we will announce who is moving on. And you can check your brackets at getyourgeekon.org. Alrighty, so with that being said, let's move on, and we're going to talk about our hero and zero of the week.
What are we starting off with?
Let's start off with the hero of the week. Alrighty, and our hero of the week comes courtesy of our own beloved minion.
Yes, that would go out to Heroes with the Heart because they hosted, they're a part of the University Health Center. They had their pediatric heart party. These are for a lot of kids who are, actually it's for the kids. It's the kids who are the real heroes. Because these are kids who either were born with heart deficiencies, went through surgery, or are waiting surgery. So they had a big party for them. So they had this, they had lots of costume characters who were there from Heroes with the Heart. I know Iron Man was there. I think Spider-Man was there. Superman was there.
Very cool.
And they just had a great time. The kids just ate it up.
Outstanding.
And those are the true true heroes of the week.
And that's our outstanding. That's perfect. Nailed it. Now it's time for our zero of the week. And
Man, you are one pathetic loser.
Don't step over the sound cue.
Well, pardon me. Pardon me. So, as people watching us on Facebook right now can see, I had something all set up and then I drew a line through it when I came into the studio. Because I heard about the reboot movie on Netflix.
Let's reboot the Guardian Code.
Reboot the Guardian Code. For those of y'all who aren't aware of Reboot, it was a Canadian animated series that they put onto Toonami back in the day. It was the first ever fully computer-generated cartoon show.
It was on ABC
Yeah, that's
Saturday
where I
morning.
saw it.
Well, okay, and then they moved it to Toonami. That's where I watched it. And it was a wonderful series. It was great. Had great characters, had a great villain.
Megabyte was awesome.
Man, that was so cool. And then, of course, season 2 changed everything because Bob got shot off into cyberspace. Enzo tried to take over and lost an eye, and he got shot off into cyberspace. And it was a great, great series. And now Netflix is coming out with a movie that is so stereotypical, so bland, so awful looking. I can't believe it's Netflix.
So when I first saw that, you know what kind of went through my head?
What went through your head?
We are VR troopers.
We are VR Troopers, Power Rangers came to mind. I mean, watch this trailer. It's, hi, I'm stereotypical student number 1. I'm stereotypical student number 2. And now we're going to go into the computer and completely mess with what made Reboot great.
Yeah, so in other words, Solo is not the worst trailer out there anymore. Yes.
No, not anymore. Now that belongs to the Reboot movie on Netflix. So that'll wrap it up here. If you want to tweet at us, you can find us at GYGO_radio. You can shoot me an email at davethehost@getyourgeekon.org. For Goose, for Minion, and for myself, I do want to thank our sponsors, Laser Legend and The Mailing Spot. Thank you for listening, and be sure to get your geek on every single day.